Hearing that Brandon Ford up to in the 240s right now, and how's he progressing?
You know, I don't know exactly where his weight is. You know, I've seen him a couple times, but I know it's kind of fluctuated a little bit this summer. But he looks good. Looks like he's ready to go, and look forward to getting started with it.
Coach Moore said earlier that this time next year you're going to be talking about how much you're going to miss Brandon Ford like you are Dwayne Allen.
You know, I hope so. You know, I hope so. You know, I mean, Dwayne turned into be a vital part of the offense last year, and Brandon's got a big torch to try to carry. And but he's also got some goals out ahead of him, and from not only a playing standpoint, but a leadership role, everything that's encompassed into being a good player. So we're excited about it. Look forward for him taking over that role.
What's he improved his run block?
You know, he's improved quite a bit, you know, from where he first came to. You know, when we first moved him to tight end, you know, he had never done that. So he started off and he was a willing guy. He was a guy that would compete. I think that's a big thing. You know, it's important to him, and I think he's dependable. And I think those qualities, when he moved to tight end and bought into it, and just really worked hard at it, and he's improved quite a bit from this spring on his blocking.
Seconds are Cooper.
Seconds are Cooper, Eric McLean, Daryl Smith.
How's it break down for those guys?
You know, yeah, you know, all those jobs are still. None of those guys have a whole lot of playing experience. With Eric and Seconds are being redshirt freshmen. Sam Cooper played a little bit last year. Daryl Smith's probably been our most consistent guy. You know, Daryl's been a consistent Eddie since he's come here. He's been our special team guy. You know, he's on most all of those teams. He's done a good job in that area, and it's kind of carried over. He doesn't have a great role, but he's probably got more of a very important role, similar to Chad Deal for us. And so, I mean, all those guys will have a place to compete for once camp gets started. And then, you know, I think J.J. McCullough's a kid who'll be excited to hopefully be a part of the program when he gets here. So those are kind of the guys, the nucleus of guys that we'll be working with. Yeah, I mean, he's very similar moving over as Brandon. You know, he's a guy who's he's never done this. He's gotten in there, he's bought into it, he's busted his tail in the weight room. You know, his weight's not, you know, it's not up there very high right now, but, you know, it doesn't have to be. He's a quick guy, it's important to him. He learns quick on the run, and he'll be a viable, you know, first off, the things he does naturally, he'll be a viable receiver for us, and then be a weapon for us at the line of scrimmage at the block. Sam, you know, went through spring, but has had a really good summer. You know, he's nicked up in and out of spring with an ankle and a shoulder, and kind of kept banging around. And but you know, had a good solid spring for us. We expect him to enter fall and really kind of grab the bull by the horns, and he'll go as he goes. You know, but he had a good spring for us, and look forward to seeing where he's at. What does he do well? You know, probably the best thing is probably his point of attack blocking. It's pretty good. Probably needs to work on his route running some, but does do a nice job catching the ball when he's in space. So those are some things that he does probably the best.
What are some of the things that made Kyle attractive to you guys?
You know, his versatility. You know, the three-back position in Coach Morris's offense is probably the most versatile guy you can. That's the nightmare guy that you try to find. You know, a guy like Dwayne is probably a typical guy that, you know, he's big enough that you can attach him to the end of the line. You know, he can flex out. Do you cover him with a linebacker, or do you substitute him from a nickel standpoint with another DB? Do you line him up in the backfield? He can lead block. He can carry the ball. He can catch the ball. You know, it's just a really big, pretty good athlete. That's kind of one of the harder positions to recruit to. You know, JJ was a high school tailback, kind of was a big guy, and very athletic. So it'd be interesting to see how much he can handle this ball when he gets there.
I'm kind of backing up to the other beats during the offseason for basketball.
Is that it? McLean, yeah, he ended up having a solid spring for us. He's got to, you know, continue on his route running. Give us something, hopefully, at the point of attack with his blocking, and then kind of grow from there. He needs to be a hard edge guy. He needs to be a guy that you count on at the point of attack. You know, those things need to make sure that he's sound on, because that's where he first pretty much helped our football team. You know, he needs to make sure he's on every special team. Just make sure that that he can get some movement at the point of attack. If he can do those things, we can find a place for him to play.
Where Coach Sweeney's last night was kind of going over some of the new rules, special teams, I guess, with the new Halo rule,
Right.
the kickoff. What are your thoughts on how you guys are going into it?
You got to, each year they tweak those they kind of follow suit with the NFL. From like a couple years ago, they made the wedge illegal, the three-man wedge. And then, this year they made the jumping over the three guys in the punt formation illegal. They'll treat that like field goal. So each year they tweak that. They're trying to do away with the head-on collisions on kickoff, so they figure they don't start those guys to give them a 5-yard head start instead of starting way back and giving them a 20-yard running start. They can't be at full speed. So, but they also moved it up 5 yards. They moved the actual kickoff up 5 yards, so then you got a better shot at maybe a touchdown. So it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. Does that create more touchbacks? But if it's a touchback, it comes out to the 25 this year. How much difference is that 5 yards? So it's going to be an interesting year for a first year trying a lot of these things.
The onside kick, is it just if they pop it up that they can call for a fair catch, or if it hits the ground once and pops up?
Well, if they pop it up, it's treated as always. You can call fair catch, just like a normal blue kick on a kickoff. Right. If they pop it up, they can call for a fair catch now. So, they're trying to protect from those head-on collisions. There's a mad dash scramble for the ball.
So it's only if it hits the ground like twice then that it's kind of fair?
Pops once.
Just once, it's fair.
They count that kick as fair catchable, I guess, is the way they use the term.
And I guess the big reason behind this for player safety is that, do you think it's something that was needed? Would it be a good thing?
That's the thing. All this stuff is over time. The big thing they're trying to do away with, they try to protect the unprotected receiver from an unwarranted hit. They've always tried to protect the quarterback from an unwarranted hit on a collision. And that's going to be a game on the line where guys are in high contest for that ball. So it's going to be a situation where you probably have to have some help and stuff. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
I was giving battle of punter.
Oh, that'd be hopefully look forward to a good battle between Spencer and Bradley Pinion. Spencer Benton has been around here for us and done a really good job. He's increased his role as a holder for us. He's been a really good kickoff guy for us. Look forward to him continuing those roles. We've expanded him into punting, and we were fortunate we signed Bradley Pinion, and he's really, so far, knock on wood, done a good job up until now. Look forward to that battle really increasing in August and seeing where those two guys are. And hopefully, he can be the total guy. That's what we saw when we recruited him. And look forward to him, competing for those jobs.
As you look at manning your various special teams guys, any of you guys coming in that you can't wait to get your hands on?
Oh, there's a bunch of guys that, one of the things we had last year was we had a bunch of new guys that were going to be a part of the team. We had most of our team here. There's only a handful of new guys. G-Hop may be a guy that we look at, but other than that, we've had most of these guys in the program for a year as far as, or they came in January. But other than that, we've had, last year we were looking at, Stephon Anthony, Sammy, all these kids trying to juggle them out where they're going. We've at least had those guys in our program. Look forward to having them in a spot, hopefully this year, a little more grounded.
Sammy was talking this spring how he wanted to kind of be involved in the punt return game.
Right.
I guess that's something that you guys.
Yeah, Sammy worked this spring as a punt returner as well. You kind of get into, I think last year was how much he could handle on his plate.
Yeah.
And you tried to whittle off. Obviously, every time he touches it, he could change whatever. But hopefully we've got some other kids that can do the same thing. Last year he was probably a little ahead of his, took a little less out of him probably to do kickoff return, than he did punt return. So that's kind of what we did. And, we'd be more than advantageous to use him in that now if we need to.
Kind of nervous throwing a freshman back there catching punts too. Is that
it was a little bit of that, and then he dropped one in the Maryland game, and then all of a sudden we need him obviously on offense. We need him on kickoff return. That's where he's most viable. So you whittle it down. And we've got Nuke was a sure-handed guy, of course. So we've got to improve in that area this year. So that's one area of emphasis this